G'day, mate. Welcome to the Life and a Bookshelf podcast with Beck Mills. This is the place to hang out if you are a lover of conversation, connection, random musings, all about life after 30 years of age, including motherhood, books, reading, learning, growing. If you are into personal development, and also making a really positive impact in your own life, the people around you, and also your wider community, then you are in absolutely the right spot. I hope you enjoy today's episode. Hey there! Today I want to talk about permission. Permission. Holy moly, this word, I swear, has come up daily for like the last month or more. And that's a long time for me to hear a word and not say or write anything about it. So this thing started happening probably a couple of years ago now. I heard this thing like, if you see something 3 times, if you hear something 3 times, or you read it 3 times, follow your curiosity, follow it down the rabbit hole, see where it takes you. And I think it was Yasmin Boland. If you don't know who she is, she's an Aussie woman who teaches moonology. She's an astrologer. She's really cool. And I've followed her for a really long time. Anyway, so she said, if you see something 3 times, hear it 3 times, or it somehow comes into your awareness 3 times, make sure you take notice of it and do something about it. So for permission to come up like every day, most days for a whole month, clearly I haven't been following that to a T. It's been quite the month, as December always is. So anyway, I want to have a quick chat about permission. And because this podcast is brand new, essentially, welcome if you're listening. It's so exciting to have you here. So thank you for listening. And let me know if you're enjoying it. So permission. Oh, the other person that I heard it from that I follow is Leonie Dawson. If you don't know who she is, oh my gosh, go and check her out. She's amazing. Leonie has a brilliant Biz and Life Academy. She is also another Aussie entrepreneur, multimillionaire. She is just incredible and just the most incredible human being. Anyway, I digress. And I remember listening to I think it was a meditation from her, or it was in one of her books, and it said, you have permission. And I was like, oh yeah, I do. Isn't it funny how we wait for permission? Or we wait for someone else to give us permission before we're like, oh yeah, I can do that. So about this podcast, I think I mentioned in episode 1 how I've had a few false starts with this podcast. Well, not this podcast, with 2 other ones. This is the 3rd, baby. A couple of false starts. So the fact that this is actually out there and published and I have started sharing it is a few really big steps, and I'm really, really proud, and I really hope you enjoy it. So giving myself permission to actually give it a go and start as a beginner, start messy, start unedited, start raw, start not perfect, is really, really huge. And I remember watching this, I guess it's like a class on how to start a podcast, and it was completely not what I thought it was. Completely the opposite to what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Let's get the technical, because, some stuff might have changed in a year and a half since I last tried to start a podcast. Anyway, it was a tiny bit about that. The majority of it was all around, like, what are you waiting for? Like, give it a go. Get talking, because I think as women in our society, I think, just talking and saying how we feel, saying what's on our mind, talking about our experiences doesn't come really that naturally to a lot of us. And I know it's certainly not the case for me. When I started doing live video a few years ago, I had to get over a few humps, you could say, with that. So, yeah, in terms of permission, like giving myself permission to give the podcasting thing a go and for it to not be what I consider perfect, because then it would never have actually been published. Let's just start by saying that. So I think what I'm trying to say is, what's that one thing that has been on your mind or on your heart for a really, really long time? And what I found really helpful was like just getting any piece of paper and just writing out like what that thing is. So just getting it out and looking at it, visualizing it on the piece of paper and being like, yeah, I really do want to do that. And then on the other side of the page, I actually just wrote down all the reasons why. Now's not the time. It's not the right situation. It's not the right time of the year, blah, 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 blah. I just wrote it all out. All the things that I think were, I guess, like barriers or excuses, which they really are, but they're so real in our minds, and especially this time of year when there's so much shiz going on externally, we can often just really push these things to the side. So yeah, write it down on a piece of paper. Like what's that thing that's been on your heart, it's been on your mind, it keeps getting pushed to the side. You think one day. So this podcast was one thing for me. Another thing is writing. I've always had in my heart to write a book or write books in general. So that may be the next. It was probably one of the biggest things that I learned from her. Like pause, take a breath, and just repeat an affirmation to yourself that makes you calm, makes you calm your breathing, makes you calm your heart. Something like I accept myself fully, something like that. You can do whatever you like. She talked about setting up your space, like have a nice clear space in front of you so you're feeling really good. Like you could get a nice cold drink of water, light a candle, blah, 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 whatever you want. So I just kind of like took a few things down that I know would get me in the zone and make me feel really good and calm. And that's been really helpful. And you know what? I think a part of getting older, over 30, is you do start to let a lot of ish go from your 20s. And I think it's so much like focus on the external. And there's been a lot of focus on the internal and like things that I don't want to do in my life during my 30s so far. And kind of like, let's just see what happens. Like a little bit of that's coming in. And I'm really excited for that. Like really, really excited for that because it's completely different to how I was in my 20s. Side note, again. So permission. What are you holding back permission from yourself to do, like, or to try or to get started on? And what would it feel like to just be a beginner and just give it a crack without worrying if it's perfect? And this is totally giving advice to myself also. It's been really, I guess, challenging at times, like especially over the last sort of couple of weeks, going from the thinking to the doing side of the podcast, and just resetting. Like I have sort of updated my social media profiles again, but I've come at it at a really different, a really different point, like perspective. I've come at it at almost like from the side, whereas before I was like bull at the gates, head first in. I've come at social media kind of from the side, and I'm really rethinking how I want to utilize it to share these conversations and share this connection and this life, yeah, and have this connection with you. So really, really exciting. I can't wait to see how it evolves. Sure, there's things like the overthinking is creeping in, like in the last couple of days, but I've caught myself in the moment, and I'm like, this old feeling again. And I will, in a future episode, tell you a little bit more about my background in business and the online world. So look out for that. But yeah, this time coming at it kind of from the side and kind of, yeah, from a little bit more, I guess, of a relaxed approach. Because life, parenthood, everything else that we have going on. I'm also, my husband and I have a small business. So he's an electrician. So he's the electrical contractor in the area, that regional area that we live in. So cover a really big area, and I do help with the admin side of the business there as well. But yeah, so that's a little bit of my background, what I'm doing at the moment, alongside life and children and school and sports and all the things, committees and now this. So I look forward to, sharing a bit more with you on that, but short and sweet. Permission, permission, permission. I think we just wait for so long for somebody else to give us permission. But really, even if someone else gives us permission, we still got to give it to ourselves. We still got to allow ourselves to try something new, which sounds like the easiest thing in the world, but it's probably one of the trickiest. So I know that's been in my experience anyway. I would love to hear what you've got out of today's episode. You can screenshot this as you're listening. If you're on your phone, just screenshot it wherever you're listening. And you could put it up on your Instagram stories, Facebook stories, and tag the podcast at Life on a Bookshelf podcast, all one word, all lowercase. And I'll repost it. Let me know. What is that one thing? And if you don't want to share that, that's cool. Just let me know. Are you going to commit to starting it? How are you going to commit to starting it? When are you going to commit to starting it? Let me know. I cannot wait. Cannot wait to hear. I will be back soon with a new episode. Take care. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining. I love connecting with you here. And hey, if you want to be the first to know when a new episode drops, just jump on my newsletter list. The details and the link is below in the show notes for you. I hope you have a wonderful day. You absolutely, absolutely deserve it. Until next time. See ya.